Welcome to Alliance on the Move. It is a pleasure to bring this program to you. On our program this week, we bring to you excerpts from a very important event held recently in Guyana. I'm speaking about the inaugural annual Guyana International Petroleum Business Summit and Exhibition, GPEX. This summit was held from February 7 to 9 and saw over 600 delegates from Guyana and around the world attending. In her welcome remarks to the delegates, Minister and Vice Chairperson of the Alliance for Change, Cathy Hughes, noted that Guyana is more than oil and opportunities presented by this emerging industry.
I'm neither mathematician or psychic, but anyone observing the collective value of your esteemed presence here this morning could both calculate the potential investment terms and predict what positively lies ahead for beautiful Guyana. This esteemed conference, attracting the who's who of the global energy sector, provides much of the evidence anyone needs in determining what the future holds for this resource-rich, blessed country of ours. But we're mindful of the need to learn from others and not squander the opportunity before us. To the credit of the Minister of Natural Resources, Minister Trotman, he has, notwithstanding uninformed and misrepresented criticism, brought this nation to what is unquestionably its most important developmental juncture amidst sensitive, historic discussions unseen by many. Guided by His Excellency President David Granger, Guyana is poised to enter its most significant phase in its development, one which has immense benefits to all Guyanese from every sector across all boundaries. No one will be exempted from this, and I want to assure you, as you will discover, it is a well-planned program of development, one which sees us investing heavily in our people, our agriculture, and a green economy. I am proud and humbled to be part of finally seeing the potential that we always heard Guyana had. I'm also happy that it's finally being realized through the stewardship of a president whose driving ambition is to build a nation in which everyone enjoys a better standard of life. The presence of all of you here this morning is testimony to Minister Trotman's success in bringing us all closer to our President's objectives and the long-awaited goal of every citizen. Guyana has had its fair system of hard times, like many other developing countries, but we have proven how resilient and how innovative we are. For far too long, Guyanese would leave what they call the land of promises to find the promised land, mostly in places like North America. But as Minister Trotman, my colleague, often says, this is Guyana's time now. This is no pie in the sky, and what could happen or what we should have done, it's here. He has tactfully and skillfully helped realize what we would always say across this country for donkey years. We cannot be so blighted. Guyana must have oil, and we are excited that we're now on that path to development. So we welcome you to our shores. We cannot achieve this without your assistance. So let us pause happily to reflect on the much-aligned process that has brought us here, and to congratulate all the parties for being able to win this for Guyana today and for future generations. One day, the full story will emerge, and the heroes acknowledged, but we're not about posterity and bringing the benefits to Guyanese, not only now, but in the future. And we can only do it, as I've said, in partnership with you here. As investors, once you put Guyana and Guyanese first, you will find the most hospitable people and an enabling environment in which you can conduct business. And you are most welcome to be a part of this exciting and transformational time.
The future of Guyana has never looked better. Our nation is on the cusp of a development program like never seen before. While Guyana is now emerging as an energy giant through the discovery of massive reserves of oil and natural gas, it is your government's intention that the huge benefits emerging from this will go where it matters most, to you, the people of this beloved country. There is a surge of confidence in the way Guyana is governed once again, and the level of investor interest is unprecedented. Guyana is poised to become the breadbasket of the region, and the pace at which this nation will grow through prudent fiscal management will be nothing short of impressive. But more than anything else will be the way every Guyanese, regardless of color, class, or creed, becomes a part of this historic period of national transformation, sharing in the wealth and well-being of it all as one Guyana.
GPEX was hosted by the Minister of Natural Resources, Raphael Trotman. The minister, who is the leader of the Alliance for Change, stressed that oil resources belong to all the people of Guyana, and we must all benefit from this resource.
Welcome to this place, the home of this first major oil and petroleum exposition, the home of the largest hydrocarbon discoveries in the world within the last 3 years, the home to abundant life species of which are only found, many of which are only found here, the place of magnificent rivers and majestic waterfalls amid what is amongst the largest protected rainforests on the planet, a breathtaking landscape where indigenous peoples and the descendants of Africans, Indians, Chinese, and Europeans all live, work, and aspire together to develop this mineral-rich country that feeds itself from its fertile agricultural lands is indeed a place like no other. The government of Guyana is pleased to be associated with this August event and what it portends for the development of our country. We believe we are gathered at the crest of an unprecedented epoch of change and transformation, one that requires a united and committed approach. In the words of His Excellency President David Granger, in an address to Parliament in 2015, I quote, "Your government recognizes today that our foreparents came from 4 continents. We are their heirs and successors, resolving to work together to pursue the ideal of making Guyana one nation. We must, in doing so, combine our efforts, concentrate our energy and endeavor to defeat the real enemies of our people: crime, disease, ignorance, and poverty." It is a place, Guyana, referred to by some as still being in the infancy of its development and as being a microstate. At present, the gross domestic product stands at a relatively low $3.4 billion. However, according to leading global economists, that figure will see meteoric growth in the next 2 decades. A view shared by the president of the Guyana Chamber of Commerce and Industry, who predicts growth by 2,000% within the next 2 decades. So here we are today, welcoming you to our home, Guyana, the place that has recently captured the attention and imagination of the world. Inasmuch as we are beyond being excited and filled with joy, to use the Prime Minister's words, and feeling blessed by our good fortune, we are equally humbled by the magnitude of the responsibility placed within our hands, and most mindful of the high aspirations and expectations of our citizens who, as we have already seen, have taken an especially keen interest in the development of our natural resources, and in petroleum in particular. As rocky and uncertain as this beginning seems, we are off to a good and predictable start. At this juncture in our national development, being at a place where we will travel on a fast and furious trajectory, we don't want simply to be known as an oil-producing nation, but rather as a country that took its resources and revenues and used them to fashion and carve a nation that is geographically and strategically positioned to produce the food that is required and will be required for the 48 million people who are projected to inhabit the Caribbean by 2050, just over 30 years from now. And that's just the projected context, but the wave of investment in all kinds of sectors has already begun, and the evidence is all around us. In boardrooms across the world, Guyana is a talking point as the place to be. My humble word of advice to local entrepreneurs is to be prepared for a level of investment and hive of business activity that is unprecedented. Upgrade your skills and knowledge, improve the standards of your businesses, form alliances and partnerships, get ready to compete and be with the best, for they are already here at our doorstep. We also aim to be the gateway into and out of South America, to be a nation with resilient people and attitudes who dare to dream and to take risks, because we believe, and our foreparents also believe, that the future is not one that is to be waited upon with a golden platter, but one that is to be seized. Today, February 7, 2018, we stand at the foot of a mountain, as majestic and mysterious, and as challenging and as charismatic as our very own Mount Roraima. This is our mountain to climb, to overcome and to triumph, and do so we will. Mountains are great symbols and metaphors for challenges to be overcome and heights to be attained. And so we must see our current situation as both a challenge to be overcome and an unprecedented height to be scaled. We must mount up with wings as eagles do and attain those heights. We Guyanese are an innovative and indomitable people who have lent our strengths and talents to people and causes throughout the world. We have bestowed greatness on other people and places. Now we have arrived at an important juncture in our nation's history. What we do here will determine the future of generations to come. For all that's been said about what should or should not have been done, we have navigated through the complexities and dynamics of a fragile situation to make all this possible. So today, we can stand at the foot of the mountain, excited about the ascent to the commanding heights of opportunity. History will record this as one of the most significant achievements of Guyana, and one which transcends our differences. Let us not lose sight of the historic moment that is before us. Let us not faint and crumble before we even start to climb. Instead, we must recognize and affirm our own right to own, to possess, and to enjoy all of the rich and bountiful resources of Guyana. In all humility, I ask that we look proudly at what we have today. I speak of 3.2 billion recoverable barrels to date. I speak of immeasurable wealth being bestowed on the Guyanese people and the ways in which we will ensure that this has lasting impact on our citizens from all walks of life. I speak of a final and lasting peace from the tension and aggression that has hobbled our growth ever since our birth in 1966. And I speak about a new era emerging from the perpetual talk of promise and potential to actuality, reality, and prosperity. A June 2016 Bloomberg report says that the oil in the Liza well only is worth $69.5 billion United States dollars. Since that discovery in May of 2015, the volume has been increased with discoveries from 5 other wells. We are the owners of this resource, and we have invited many international companies to partner with us to develop this resource. I speak of ExxonMobil, our principal partner, with its co-partners Hess and CNOOC Nexen. I speak of Repsol, I speak of CGX, I speak of Tullow, Ratio Oil, now Catalina Energy, I speak of JHI, I speak of Eco-Atlantic, I speak of Mid-Atlantic, and I speak of Anadarko. These are all here because the pathways have been destined. Our current construct sees us entered into 50-50 partnerships with all of these companies. 50% of the net profits of 4+ billion barrels of oil. Recoverable is an almost incalculable amount in Guyana dollars. I would not even attempt it. All of this is what is going to come to the people of Guyana in the not so distant future. Left untapped, this resource will leave us with zero. One need not go on to enumerate the many indirect and spillover benefits that will also flow. We welcome all of the overseas delegates as warmly as we welcome Guyanese delegates who have chosen to embrace our vision. Guyana is a place to do business, and we have in place, and we will continue to strengthen the rules and institutions that will govern this sector. I speak specifically to our petroleum laws and agencies, the Natural Resources Fund to be presented by the Ministry of Finance, and our recent achievement of qualification for membership of the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative. I can also add that with the guidance of members of civil society, we will soon be establishing a multi-stakeholder committee on natural resources, which itself will have 4 subcommittees to address the areas of petroleum, mining, forestry, and water. By 2020, in just 24 short months, we will begin producing petroleum and associated natural gas in substantial amounts. The destiny of Guyana will be realized. It is our destiny, ours to hold, ours to enjoy, ours to equally preserve and protect. This exposition and business summit represents the attainment of an important milestone. It is a maturation point in our development as a new and emerging resource-rich nation. This is not to be mistaken for being merely another conference, or even a challenge to that which other groups and associations may wish to host in the future. It is the government of Guyana's official statement to its citizens and to the world that first oil in 2020 is no dream. It is not a Nancy story, as we say in Guyana, or is it an illusion? This is very real. It is here in these halls, in these corridors, and in these pavilions which you will visit, that international businesses will find willing partners and local entrepreneurs will establish the necessary contacts to build our burgeoning petroleum industry and the supporting services. God invites us to enjoy the boundless wealth and rich biodiversity of Guyana. And we in the APNU AFC coalition government, we say this mountain belongs to all of us Guyanese and has to be climbed by all of us. We implore you to work with us to develop the untold riches that were hitherto sealed from us, but now are about to be released to the peaceful and prosperous evolution of our country and the wider CARICOM region. Divine providence has guided us to this point. It is perhaps coincidence and not providence that the oil was discovered at this time. It is perhaps coincidence and not providence that ExxonMobil made the discovery. It is perhaps, again, no coincidence that the first and most significant step towards addressing the controversy of our border was made on January 30th, 2018 by the United Nations Secretary General. I take this opportunity to publicly commend, to thank the cooperative Republic of Guyana invites you to follow the dream expressed by His Excellency the President, when at the beginning of our term of office, he pronounced the collective will and aspiration of the 6 parties in the coalition in this profound way, and I quote him: "Your government envisages a green Guyana. We shall exploit Guyana's favorable geographical location and abundant assets in order to develop a green economy, one that generates human happiness in ways that are consistent with economic exploitation of its natural resources. We see a green economy as one that sustains economic prosperity, environmental security, and social well-being. It will allow the current generation to satisfy its needs without jeopardizing the opportunity of future generations to satisfy theirs." End of quote. We all have mountains to conquer as individuals, as communities, and as nations. Shall we begin, or shall we stay standing at the bottom, questioning, analyzing, and doubting? I assure you that God will indeed make a way. He always does. And He also promises to help those who help themselves. May God bless, guide, and guard the green land and people of Guyana in the days, months, and years ahead, as one filled with an optimism like never before.
The future of Guyana has never looked better. Our nation is on the cusp of a development program like never seen before. While Guyana is now emerging as an energy giant through the discovery of massive reserves of oil and natural gas, it is your government's intention that the huge benefits emerging from this will go where it matters most, to you, the people of this beloved country. There is a surge of confidence in the way Guyana is governed once again, and the level of investor interest is unprecedented. Guyana is poised to become the breadbasket of the region, and the pace at which this nation will grow through prudent fiscal management will be nothing short of impressive. But more than anything else will be the way every Guyanese, regardless of color, class, or creed, becomes a part of this historic period of national transformation, sharing in the wealth and well-being of it all as one Guyana.
The inaugural Guyana International Petroleum Business Summit and Exhibition, GPEX, saw presentations from representatives of world-leading businesses. This next presentation was by the Vice President of ExxonMobil Development Company. It looked at the impact an oil industry can have on a country's economy, and specifically what is happening in Guyana in terms of ExxonMobil's activities in Guyana.
It is my sincere privilege to be here at this first annual Guyana International Petroleum Business Summit, representing ExxonMobil as a strategic partner in the event. This gathering reflects the scale, scope, and diversity of the growing oil and gas industry in Guyana. It's also indicative of the critical role energy plays in the global economy. We are here today, and we are in business because people and the industry need the fuels, power, and products we produce. I'd like to spend a few minutes discussing the importance of the role energy plays in human development. People across the globe share similar aspirations. We all want a good quality of life, a clean environment, and a better future for our children. Our industry plays an important role in fulfilling these aspirations for billions of people. One of the triumphs of the past quarter century has been the dramatic increase in living standards. The UN estimates that since 1990, 1 billion people have escaped severe poverty. And every year, 160 million people are joining the global middle class. We all know that access to energy improves living standards. Cleaner cooking fuels improve air quality and save lives. Reliable lighting makes for longer, safer, more productive days. Refrigeration preserves food and stops disease. Motorized transport permits better access to water, food, healthcare, and education. And electricity powers appliances, cell phones, and computers. And you know the list goes on. Economic growth and energy use go hand in hand. Energy needs are a function of population and living standards. The Human Development Index, which is a measure of quality of life, shows that if we compare energy use, we see that quality of life improves as energy use increases. Put another way, energy enables human development. The world's oil and gas industry helps improve living standards. We can all be proud of that. Collectively, our technologies, the partnerships we establish, and the people, according to the International Energy Agency, around 1 billion people today live without electricity, and about 3 billion do not have modern fuels for cooking. This causes millions of deaths per year and can also result in other health impacts leading to shorter lifespans. These people's aspirations are not being met because they lack access to affordable energy. Increasing access to affordable energy, reliable energy, leads to meaningful change for people. It also supports the growth of the middle class, which is expected to increase to more than 5 billion people by the year 2040. This will indeed raise energy demand by some 25%, and that's even with the expected gains in efficiency. That demand growth will come mainly from developing countries such as China, India, and countries throughout Africa. These countries will have new homes, cars, refrigerators that will all require new supplies of energy. The emerging petroleum industry here in Guyana can be proud to be part of the solution to meeting the growing demand for energy. Not only will oil and gas development here bring many benefits to the people of Guyana, but Guyana will be helping to fuel economic growth around the world. Our seismic imaging technology has supported a successful exploration program here in Guyana that we believe has the potential to unlock new supplies to meet the growing global demand for energy. We have recently announced positive results from the Ranger exploration well. This marks the 6th oil discovery offshore Guyana since we began drilling in 2015. The Ranger results will be added to more than 3.2 billion recoverable oil equivalent barrels estimated at the Liza, Payara, and Turbo fields, all world-class discoveries. Along with our partners, Hess and CNOOC Nexen, we continue to progress broader development planning activities based on a phased approach. Focusing in on the greater Liza area, and the Liza field was named after a fish that can be found in the waters of Guyana. The initial development at the Liza field has the potential to produce up to 120,000 barrels of oil per day. The Liza project is a complex team effort which brings together experts from around the world. Many are represented here today. We will be working together to build the infrastructure and the facilities needed. That includes production facilities, drilling operations, subsea wells, and pipelines. The Liza project also includes a large floating production, storage, and offloading vessel. In the industry, we call this an FPSO. It will be located offshore Guyana in water depth of more than a mile deep. The FPSO will be named the Liza Destiny. As you can tell by the applause, a name selected by the government of Guyana. Destiny is defined as a predetermined course of events or fortune that will occur in the future. I think this might mean that Guyana was meant to have an oil and gas industry. The Liza Destiny will bring the first oil produced in Guyana in just about 2 years. Now that's progress. In parallel, we are moving ahead with subsequent phases. The regulatory process is underway for a second project, and a third project is currently being defined. Liza and these other offshore projects will showcase some of the best engineering available around the world. There is tremendous potential for Guyana, and we look forward to working with the government and the people of Guyana for many years to come. The discoveries today provide the foundation for world-class oil developments that deliver substantial benefits to Guyana. Benefits for all Guyanese, like new sources of revenue that will improve the overall quality of life. Over the coming years, this revenue will enable Guyanese to enjoy things like new schools for your children, improved medical facilities, and better roads. Another opportunity being discussed and made possible by this new industry is bringing natural gas to shore for lower cost electricity. This is a way all of society here would see and feel the improvement. Lower cost electricity would not only benefit everyday citizens in their homes, but also help make it easier for new local businesses to start up and grow. We also undertake meaningful and sustainable community projects that have the potential to positively impact the livelihood of Guyanese throughout the country. Based on consultation with stakeholders and a community needs assessment, our support in Guyana is directed towards education and training, the environment, and economic empowerment. As an example, we were very happy to initiate a partnership with the Iwa Krama International Center for Rainforest Conservation and Development. We plan to relaunch Iwa Krama's science program. So you can see the Liza development can bring significant benefits to Guyana, including jobs during installation and operations, workforce training, local supplier development, and government revenues to fund the infrastructure, social program, and services we've been talking about. And the revenue for Guyana begins the very first day of production. Guyana has always had enormous potential. This conversion of potential into revenue can substantially increase the standard of living here. The picture on the top depicts the opening of the Center for Local Business Development. We are so proud to be part of the center, which is already assisting small and medium-sized Guyanese businesses with building their capacity and improving their competitiveness. In the first 5 months of operation, it has grown tremendously, with many individuals visiting the center, open houses being held for key associations and their members, and we've recently begun an outreach program. Local suppliers are very important to the success of these projects and to the growth of operations in Guyana, and this center is an investment in the people of Guyana and the future of the country. This is my 5th time to visit Guyana over the past year, and I was honored to attend the grand opening of the center and was so excited talking to all of the visitors. We had a model of the Liza Destiny FPSO on display, and the keen interest everyone expressed to learn more about the development was overwhelming. I was so proud to be present and to share what we do and how we do it with all of the visitors. I was also able, along with one of my colleagues, to witness the start of manufacturing work on the Liza subsea equipment in Brazil. This is the equipment that will sit on the seafloor to transport oil and gas to the FPSO. While we were there, we had the pleasure of meeting with some of the Guyanese engineers who were recently hired by our subcontractor, Technip FMC, and are training and working in Brazil on these projects. These engineers were very impressive and so enthusiastic to tell us about all the training and development opportunities they're experiencing. These engineers will work with our teams throughout the production and installation phases. ExxonMobil and our partners are committed to continue to evaluate the full potential of the Staybrook Block and are very proud to partner with Guyana to help develop its resources in a safe, responsible, and mutually beneficial way. ExxonMobil has an overriding commitment to safety and environmental excellence in everything we do. It is a core value of all of our employees. All our employees and all our contractors are committed to ensure our developments and our operations are managed so that nobody gets hurt, to ensure that today we protect the environment for tomorrow and the future, and that we partner with countries we work in to improve their quality of life through the reliable supply of energy. ExxonMobil has built the foundation of our company through a disciplined approach to creating value. We manage our cash flow in a way that allows us to take measured risks on projects. Over the course of more than 100 years, we've also found that long-term success requires a focus on technology and, importantly, our strategic partners. We're finding innovative ways to operate more effectively and more efficiently through such technologies as better seismic imaging, reservoir modeling, and more precise drilling, all of which we're applying in Guyana. These innovative technologies come together with our understanding of what is beneath Guyana's oceans. We apply our expertise in geology to understand how the Guyana Basin was formed, how the sands were deposited through time, and where to explore for new discoveries. Our unique understanding of the subsurface, combined with our expertise in engineering, enables us to unlock Guyana's energy resources and power future economic growth. We will work closely with the government, with our partners, and the Guyanese people in developing this world-class resource in a safe and responsible way that will have long-term and meaningful benefits for the country and its citizens. We are well positioned to meet these challenges of the emerging oil and gas industry in Guyana. In closing, let me thank you again for the opportunity to speak at this inaugural event. Guyana is important to ExxonMobil and our partners. We hold dear this opportunity and recognize the responsibility involved in this partnership. We look forward to seeing the long-term benefits that our mutual work will bring to Guyana.
One of the important factors in the development of Guyana's petroleum industry is the role of the private sector. In remarks at GPEX, the chairman of the Private Sector Commission, Eddie Boyo, outlined the private sector's position on the development of the industry.
We pride ourselves to be the leading advocate of the private sector on national issues, lobbying on behalf of the business community for good governance, accountability, and transparency. Folks, all my life growing up in Guyana, I struggle to understand why every country around us, except Guyana, had oil. There was Suriname, Trinidad, and Venezuela. And I could not accept the fact that we don't have oil. But this would soon become a reality, as Guyana only recently had a world-class discovery and discoveries of oil and ongoing exploration. Now, I am here surrounded by like-minded, passionate, forward-thinking, and successful people. This can only be a foundation and a conduit for success. Some of y'all in this industry have so much years. If you add it up here, I don't think we would I don't think we could have a calculator that will give you the numbers. I welcome you all. I welcome all the export oil giants, the entrepreneurs, investors, subcontractors, and others here to our beautiful country, rich in culture, resources, heritage, and biodiversity. We are one of the greenest countries in the world, with approximately 90% of our country under dense forest. Our challenge to you as good corporate citizens would be to help maintain our ecosystem, while at the same time developing and growing your business. At this forum, there will be tremendous networking opportunities. I just heard Patricia mention some, for investors and accomplished entrepreneurs interacting to connect with each other. Business in Guyana welcomed the oil and gas sector and view this as transformational. The Guyanese business community, though inexperienced, is not sleeping. We are aware of the developments, and we are educating and informing ourselves about the new sector. We want to grasp every opportunity. The Private Sector Commission would like to see a stability of Guyana as a democracy, and our interest in the oil and gas industry maintained with clear frameworks of sector development, strong local content policy, a well-managed sovereign wealth fund, a transparent and accountable petroleum commission, as this must be the concern of our government and regulators. Over the years, the private sector businesses in Guyana have had to deal with high cost of energy, which has impeded our development in agriculture and in light and manufacturing industries. Soon, we will have oil and gas-based derivatives that can help us reduce this burdensome energy costs so that we can expand our frontier and be competitive globally. I urge this forum to see Guyana as an investment opportunity, an emerging market, and not only to look in the oil and gas sector, but in other critical sectors. We are ready with you, and I speak of Guyanese businesses, to form alliances and partnerships so that we can all work towards the happiness and prosperity of Guyana and Guyanese. Developing a connectivity will find new partners and investors, building success and creating jobs.
The future of Guyana has never looked better. Our nation is on the cusp of a development program like never seen before. While Guyana is now emerging as an energy giant through the discovery of massive reserves of oil and natural gas, it is your government's intention that the huge benefits emerging from this will go where it matters most, to you, the people of this beloved country. There is a surge of confidence in the way Guyana is governed once again, and the level of investor interest is unprecedented. Guyana is poised to become the breadbasket of the region, and the pace at which this nation will grow through prudent fiscal management will be nothing short of impressive. But more than anything else will be the way every Guyanese, regardless of color, class, or creed, becomes a part of this historic period of national transformation, sharing in the wealth and well-being of it all as one Guyana.
As many of you may recall, the Commonwealth Accord was signed on Valentine's Day. In this next segment, the leader of the Alliance for Change looks at what has been happening with that Commonwealth Accord and gives his view on what should be done.
Well, firstly, happy Valentine's Day to everyone, and of course, Valentine's has taken on a whole new and deeper meaning for us in the coalition, because it was the day when 3 years ago the accord was signed between His Excellency and then leader of the AFC, Kemraj Ramchatan, who is now Vice President. And so we have every reason to be happy and in love today. And insofar as a review, the accord by itself, its wording said that it should have a life of a minimum of 3 years, a maximum of 5. And so the framers of the accord, they themselves contemplated that at the end of 3 years, which actually would be today, there would be some kind of opportunity for a review. So whilst there may be no need for it, I believe that those who crafted it and put it together and had it signed wanted some discussion and, looking back. And retrospection and introspection are always good to do. And so I don't know the particular context in which His Excellency, and I send greetings to him too on Valentine's Day, in which he would have said that there's no need for review, but I believe that those who drafted it for us expected us to just go through it, find out how it has worked, how it could be improved, where it had shortcomings perhaps, and I believe that that is healthy for the coalition. And so the AFC's view is that yes, it allows for and it was designed for a review, and that it should be reviewed because no doubt there are areas that need refashioning, there are areas that need strengthening. We are vindicated, we believe, in our decision to enter into an accord, and therefore we should not shy away from it. We should not pretend that it doesn't exist. We should not try to forget it or slide it away or hide it away. But we should be proud of what we have, and we should be able to, like anything in a home, you take it out on anniversary dates and you shine it up, you put some polish on it, and you ensure that it's shining brightly. And if there's a little chip here or there, you ensure that it's repaired and it's strong. So we would like to see the accord continued. We'd like to see the accord strengthened. We'd like to see the accord, of course, come under some kind of review process. And as we begin to go into the second historic local government elections in this country in a few months, historic because this government was able to restore local government elections after 2 decades of the absence of them. One of the glaring absences in the accord is the fact that the specifics for local government elections are not taken care of. At the time when we had the accord in February rather, of 2015, we were just about to enter into an election in a few months in May. And so the focus was, of course, rightly so and necessarily so, on national elections. And so we were not, even though we knew we would be holding local government elections, we thought that we'd leave that for discussion amongst the coalition partners. So we do have a golden opportunity to strengthen it for the future. As I said, we do not regret in the AFC entering into a coalition. We believe that David Granger, as the then leader of the opposition, was, in our view, the best person to lead us into an election and to lead the country, and we believe that he is the best person to lead this coalition at this point in time, and we continue to believe in him as a leader. We just need to ensure that the coalition is strong. We have other coalition, there are parties within the coalition, the PNCR being just one, the WPA, they themselves have expressed some concerns. We believe that it is not just the AFC that would wish to have a review, and that all of the parties should in fact have a little summit meeting, and I've in fact proposed this to the President and he has not said no, but we believe that there should be some kind of meeting of all of the leaders of the parties, each coming with a mandate from their executive perhaps and their members as to how they'd like to see things proceed. Well, a few things happened, of course. Most recently, our Prime Minister has had to undergo surgery, and thankfully that has been successful. And also, the AFC has an executive meeting on the 17th of, in a few days' time. So we thought that we should wait to determine, one, what was happening with our Prime Minister, two, what the executive had to say. And so, yes, a letter is in fact in draft. It is just what goes into that letter. Things change at a rapid pace. We've had, of course, issues with sugar. And suggestions had been, put forward by the party, which we needed to meet with the President about, payment of severance, etc. So there are a number of variables that caused us to hold back, so to speak, the letter from going. But the letter is in draft, and I believe we'll be able to send it out quite promptly after Saturday, the 17th meeting.
Where we were at the juncture that we were in at the beginning of 2015, the end of 2014, we had a no confidence motion passed, introduced against the current government. We had prorogation of parliament. We had all kinds of complaints. The AFC felt at the time and continues to feel that it was the best decision that we could have made in the national interest. And yes, as with any partnership, especially partnerships that have multiple partners, there are going to be differences and idiosyncrasies and sometimes subtleties that we have to put aside in the greater interest of the people for the greater good. And so the accord was the best thing for Guyana. It allowed us all, including the PNCR and the AFC, to subsume our own individual partisan interests for the people's interests. And I think the people won, the country won. Of course, as a new government and as a coalition government, we have had struggles. We're not without our own failings, I would say, without our own stumblings. But what I'd like to say is that we recognize our humanness. We recognize that the challenges are great. We've had multiple floods that came after. We had prison incidents. We've had to make difficult decisions about the sugar industry. We've, however, been able to hold the country together, even though there are daily efforts to undermine and to take us along an unpatriotic line. We've continued to hold this country together, and so we celebrate the leadership of President Granger, Prime Minister Nagamoto, the members of government and cabinet and elsewhere, and I will say always that it was and continues to be the best decision that we ever made, and I will continue to fight for the coalition.
That brings us to the close of Alliance on the Move. On my own behalf and on behalf of the Alliance for Change, I want to wish all of us love Guyana, love our people, love ourselves. Bye now.
The future of Guyana has never looked better. Our nation is on the cusp of a development program like never seen before. While Guyana is now emerging as an energy giant through the discovery of massive reserves of oil and natural gas, it is your government's intention that the huge benefits emerging from this will go where it matters most, to you, the people of this beloved country. There is a surge of confidence in the way Guyana is governed once again, and the level of investor interest is unprecedented. Guyana is poised to become the breadbasket of the region, and the pace at which this nation will grow through prudent fiscal management will be nothing short of impressive. But more than anything else will be the way every Guyanese, regardless of color, class, or creed, becomes a part of this historic period of national transformation, sharing in the wealth and well-being of it all as one Guyana.